get started. Welcome everybody to our May webinar. We're talking today about protecting your home, especially from MassHealth liens. And so we have Samantha Gentle. She is our long-term care planning department director. I think we can send it over to Sam.
Okie dokie. Get everything on my screen. Okay. Hi, everybody. So I'm attorney Samantha Gentle, and I'm talking today about protecting your home, particularly from a MassHealth lien. So just as a reminder, as always, this information should just be taken as general information only. And if you need legal advice, please seek the help of an elder law attorney. So when you're thinking ahead to, planning ahead for long-term care in particular, you want to really think about your priorities, how much control you want to maintain over your property, and how to potentially protect your assets. Failure to plan can, a lot of people get deterred by planning because they're concerned about legal fees and everything being really expensive. But when you don't plan, the result is usually far more expensive than the legal fees would have been. So when thinking about protecting your home, most often for a lot of us, your home is your most valuable asset, and there are things that you can do to protect it if you plan ahead. Some ways to protect your home are you can either do nothing, you could gift it away, you could maintain a life estate in your home, and then or you could do an irrevocable trust that with or without a life estate. So doing nothing, provides the most freedom and use of enjoyment of your property. Your primary home is not counted as an asset of yours for either the $2,000 asset limit or the spousal asset limit, as long as your equity is under 1,133,000. If you need MassHealth for nursing home placement, MassHealth can put a lien on your house. If you're receiving MassHealth benefits in the community through things like the Frail Older Waiver Program or PACE, and several other programs, if you own your home at the time of your passing, the MassHealth Estate Recovery Unit can make a claim against your house as well. When you pass away owning your property or your home, there's a step up in cost basis, meaning that the value of the home increases to the date of death value. And so it reduces taxes when you sell the home. So for instance, that can be a huge savings if you bought the home, 30 years ago, and now it's increased significantly. Getting that step up in cost basis for capital gains taxes can be very helpful. If you don't do a declaration of homestead on your property, you can have at least $125,000 in protection from creditors or lawsuits. If you take the step to do a declaration of homestead, that is, pretty simple to do. You can protect your home up to 1 million. And for people 62 and older, a couple can protect the property up to $2 million. But again, a homestead protection only protects the house from a creditor or a lawsuit. It doesn't protect against MassHealth at all. Another simple thing to do is potentially gift your home away. However, it's a permanent transaction. There's going to be no step up in cost basis. If you're, giving the home away, a common thing is to transfer the home to adult children, for instance. When that occurs, the property is now owned by those children that you transferred the property to. And if they get divorced, if they're sued, um, any other, if they declare bankruptcy, your home is now at risk. So usually we don't advise you to just gift your home to your kids. The the transfer will be subject to the 60-month or 5-year look back period for MassHealth. 5-year look back period for MassHealth. MassHealth has a right to look back 5 years at all financial transactions of $1,000 or more. So if you gave away a house, that's certainly more than $1,000. It's going to be subject to that 5-year look back, and it can either delay eligibility or just result in a complete denial. And again, please interrupt whenever you like with questions. So when you reserve a life estate, that means that you've transferred the principal of the home to, again, it's usually adult children, and they're now called the remaindermen. You as the life tenant have a right to live in and maintain your home. You're responsible for all tax bills, and home improvements and any other house-related bills. Again, the issues remain with the life estate, just like transferring assets away to a child or whomever. The value of the home is now subject to the life of that person you transferred it to. So again, if they get divorced or sued, your primary residence can be at risk. If you move out of your home and you maintain a life estate or life tenancy, you're also are entitled to rental income as well. You don't get the step up in tax basis and cost basis until the life tenant passes away. This sort of transfer is also subject to the 5-year look back period. But there are certainly risks involved. So again, we usually try to advise clients against this because there can be a lot of risk involved. So the next option is an irrevocable trust. So when you're thinking about an irrevocable trust, these are not for everybody. You need to think about as we discussed earlier, your home a lot of times is your most significant asset. And is that house part of your retirement plan? Because if it is, then an irrevocable trust is probably not the best choice for you, because you're going to give up control over your property and you won't have access to the value of the home. So if you really want control over your property, if you need the value of the home, if you want some tax savings plans, an irrevocable trust may not be right for you. There's also chances for property tax relief that you may not be able to get anymore. And you won't be able to take out a home equity line on the property. And you may not be able to get a reverse mortgage. I did recently meet one reverse mortgage specialist that mentioned that he may be able to get a reverse mortgage on an irrevocable trust. However, our meeting kept getting rescheduled, so I haven't had an opportunity to learn more about that. But generally, that's not usually an option. Also, what's important to note is that if you have a mortgage left on your property. Still, most mortgage companies will not let you transfer property into an irrevocable trust until the mortgage is paid off. So that's another instance where this doesn't always work for everybody. So,
Sam, can I interrupt for a quick
Yep.
second? Can we go back to a couple slides before, and could you define remainder man?
Sure. So the person reserving the life estate is the life tenant, and the remainder men are the people that now own the property, usually the adult children. And so after the life tenant passes away, the remainder men become they now own the property in full. And actually, that reminds me to mention that if you are a life tenant in your property and if the remainder men decide to sell the property, then the life tenant will actually get a percent of the sale proceeds. And there's like a whole IRS table where it is based on age and stuff. So the percents change as you age. So you would get a portion of the sale proceeds. I think it's worth also explaining in terms of irrevocable trust. So with a trust in general, there are three roles. There's the grantor or settlor. That's the person who creates the trust. There's the trustee, the person that manages the trust, and then the beneficiaries, the people that benefit from the trust. When you set up an irrevocable trust, you're the grantor of your trust, but you will not be the trustee, so you do not manage your property any longer. If adult children are involved, sometimes you name the adult children as the trustees, and then the adult children or the other beneficiaries you choose will be the beneficiaries of the trust. There are, and it's irrevocable, so you cannot revoke it. There are some backdoor ways to get assets back to you if, let's say, you don't make it through the 5-year look back period and you really need access to the home to get on MassHealth. Then theoretically, the beneficiaries can gift the property to themselves out of the trust with the help of the trustees, and then gift the property back to you. That can be kind of risky because it's, can you trust all of the people you've named as beneficiaries to follow through? And that may also cause a tax event for those beneficiaries getting, property transferred to them and then immediately gifting it out. So we try to plan ahead and make sure that that's not going to happen. But if something unexpected occurs before the 5-year look back period, there is usually a backdoor way of getting out of it if you really need to. So sometimes with irrevocable trusts, the grantors or the people who create the trust can retain a life estate. We tend to draft for MassHealth planning income only irrevocable trusts. And as I said before, if you're a life tenant of a property and the property is being rented out, you as the life tenant can receive income. And again, as the grantor of the trust, you can receive income from the trust. So if the property is being rented or if the property was sold and now cash is sitting out in the trust and the money's been invested and it's producing income or interest, then the grantor can receive the income from that. The trustees can also sell the property and purchase a new property, and again, the life tenant will receive a percent of the sale proceeds. If the property is sold, it does not restart the 5-year clock. And again, as I mentioned before, you won't have access to the principal of the property or the principal of the money invested, just income or interest. A lot of times we will do an irrevocable trust and with real estate, but we do not have the client hold the life estate. Instead, we just do an income only, regular income only irrevocable trust, and then we'll have the client sign a use and occupancy agreement with the trustee. So that allows you to still live in and maintain your home. And rather than paying the trust rent, you are just paying the taxes, paying the house bills, paying for home improvements. And that's all outlined in the use and occupancy agreement. If sold, the grantor will not receive a portion of the sale proceeds, like with the life estate. You can still, the trust can still sell your home and purchase another property. So all the same thing that I mentioned before. So, a tale of caution, you want to understand the consequences of your choices. If you're doing a reverse mortgage, you really want to look at the value, how the reverse mortgage affects the value of your property. Reverse mortgages can be very expensive. Sometimes a home equity line is a better move, but it doesn't work for everybody. With tax deferment, if you're over 65, it's they say it's a best kept secret in Massachusetts. So that's worth looking into, tax deferment. When you're planning ahead, you want to have it be all encompassing. So you don't only want to think about MassHealth. Not everybody's going to need MassHealth. You want to start early, and there's other benefits you can plan for, like with married couples. You can plan ahead to reduce estate tax, because in Massachusetts, if you pass away with over 2 million in your estate, then you may need to pay some estate taxes. And doing tax planning ahead of time can also allow your beneficiaries to inherit more from you if they have to pay less in estate tax. You want to seek out knowledgeable professionals who are current with the ever-changing rules and regulations. It's a good idea to seek out an elder law attorney, because we're really seeing how these documents come into play as, health declines, etc. So we can be a great resource for you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Yes. Thanks everybody for joining us.